What is up, YouTube? I'm gonna try to get consistent with this. I really like making videos. I really do. Um, so first of all, let me apologize to all Android users, and this is coming from a diehard, um, diehard Apple guy. Okay, I mean my entire house. I have several Apple TVs. I have and an iPad Pro. I have um, my MacBook Pro. Uh, you know, my entire household, we all have iPhones, Apple Watch, as you can see. So, I first off, I have to say, I want to apologize big time to all Android users. And this is a non biased review. There are a ton of them out there, but this is mine. So, if you've seen my past two videos, I did a review on the Whitestone Dome glass protector, in which I installed one on a Galaxy Note 8 and I installed the other one on a Pixel 2 XL. So back in January, well, let's start back. Last year, I've been an iPhone user since the original iPhone, and I've had every iPhone literally, with the exception of uh, I've had every iPhone. I mean, from personal use to for work use. Let me think. For work, I've had an iPhone 5C. I've had an iPhone SE. I have an iPhone 8, which I was given currently for a work phone. But outside of that, personally, I've had every other iPhone that's ever been out. Um, and last year, I started to really get bored with iOS, and really probably before that. It's great for what it does. It works, you know. But for a person like me, I am really into tech, and I'm a person. I believe in, um, there's a lot of fanboys. You have your team iOS, you have your or team iPhone, you have your team or team Apple, then you have your team Android or team Google. I'm all about what works for you. I think if it works for you, then it works for you. Sometimes I think it's crazy when I'm in different forums and I see so many people going back and forth and arguing about, you know, well, you know, Android is better or iPhone is better. I think, whatever works for you, and that's really how it should be. For the longest time, it's always been the iPhone for me. I have to admit that I would say 90 to 95% of the people that I communicate with on a daily, weekly, monthly basis are iPhone users. I probably can count with one hand, literally, people that I communicate with on a consistent basis that actually use Android phones. But for me, I get bored really quick, and just in life general. My wife jokes around all the time with me. She's always like, "I'm surprised I'm still around," because I get so bored so quick. Um, so anyway, about a year or two ago, I started getting really bored. I didn't want to necessarily move to Android, even though I've dabbled with Android here and there, and then I'm always back in like a week or two. But the Galaxy S8 came out, and over the summertime last year, I went and got a Galaxy S8 Plus, and I mean, I love the way it looked. The screen is probably, I mean, you've all heard and you've probably seen they talk about Samsung just having the best screen, and it did. Um, and I traded in. I had an iPhone. I think I had an iPhone 7 Plus. I traded it in, and I got the no. I had an iPhone. Whatever. I had some iPhone. I can't remember if it was the 6S Plus or the 7. I had the iPhone 7. Um, and I traded it in. Just I was like, man, I'm tired of iPhone. I'm tired of iOS. So I'm just bored. I'm not tired, but I'm bored. I want something new. So I went in and I went all in. I traded in my iPhone 7. I got a Galaxy S8 Plus, and immediately, man, I was like, I was blown away. I was like, wow, new experience. I guess that honeymoon phase. I remember the second day that I had the phone. My wife and I, we took our kids out to the pool, and I took the phone out the case and immediately jumped in the pool, and I had that phone in, and I was recording videos of my kids swimming and things like that. And my mom, she's out of state, so the way we communicate a lot is I'll take videos of my kids, and through iMessage I would just send it to her. Well, it was one of my first problems. Took a video. This video was like 45 seconds, and I sent it to my mother, and she responded back, and she was like, I can't really make out what the video is. And so that was one of the things where I see a lot where a lot of people who do switch over from the iPhone to Android. One of the big reasons that I see a lot of people come back is for iMessage. So I tried for like a week, and I couldn't deal with it, and I went back to the iPhone. I ended up going back to I had an iPhone 7 Plus in the house. So I went and returned the phone and just went back to put my SIM card in my 7 Plus, and I rocked that for a while. And then the Google Pixel 2 came out, and I had an iPhone 10 already, and I kept hearing people or seeing reviews, people talking about the camera, and I take a lot of pictures, a lot of pictures. I have two younger kids who are 12 and 9, and again, because my mother's out of state, I like to try to take a lot of pictures and send them to her, take videos. So people were raving about this camera, and I was just seeing really good reviews. So New Year's Eve, I went out and I got a Google Pixel 2 XL, and I traded in my iPhone 7 Plus. At that time, a lot of people who were switching over were saying, if you were coming from the iPhone, that the Pixel 2 XL was the closest thing on Android that, the stock Android and the speed and all that. And I concur. Went to a New Year's Eve party that night, took a ton of pictures. People were just raving about the phone. And what ended up happening was about a week later, I had an iPhone 7, another iPhone 7 that was laying around, and I had an Apple Watch. So I ended up trading with a guy on Craigslist who had a Note 8 and a Gear S3. And so at one point in time, I had the Pixel 2 XL and I had the Galaxy Note 8. And I really liked the Galaxy. I mean, the screen was, when I first got it, I was like, man, if the Pixel 2 XL had this screen, it would be the best phone. And I would say if the Galaxy Note 8 had the Pixel 2 camera, I felt like that would be the great phone. I didn't use the S Pen as much. I did use it every now and again, but for me, it wasn't something that was really important. So when it came down to it, yeah, I downloaded the APK for the Pixel 2 XL camera on the Note, and I still didn't feel like it was the same. And then, bugs and things like that. So it came down to I had to make a decision. And so I decided to go with the Pixel 2 XL. And what I ended up doing was going back on Craigslist, big Craigslist guy. I found a guy who had an iPhone 10 and he had an Apple Watch Series 3, and we traded. And so currently, right now, I rock an iPhone 10 and I rock the Pixel 2 XL. These are my two daily phones. I literally take these two out the house on a daily basis. Now the funny thing is that whenever I want to take a picture, I immediately go to this phone. And Google has made it so great now because in iOS there is actually a Google Photos extension. So I can basically take a picture on here, and then I can open up iMessage, click on the Google Photo uh, extension, and double click it, and boom, it sends my picture off in full resolution. So, but when I say I have to apologize to Android users for a long time, um, I was never a person, again, I've always been on what works for you is what works for you. And what's one person's preference isn't another. So I'm never going to make fun of what a person has. But for the longest time, I guess I'll just say I didn't understand Android. And what I did is, even when I got the 10, I used this as my daily driver for a good month, and maybe a month and a half, and I really understood it. I even went out and I got a LG, what's this? The LG Sport, which is it's a cool watch. But one of the things I really started missing was, if you've ever had an iPhone and you've had an Apple Watch, it's totally different. With here, there are things that I think are way better. I even think that this watch looks better than the Apple Watch. And I think there's some things that it does better. I love the fact that it has the customizable faces, more than just, Apple has a few, but I like the fact that if I want, I can go into the Play Store and I can download a face, I can make it mine. And so I got the 10, and the 10 is pretty much my main phone. And I use this phone. I have a friend, man. I talked about this phone so much, it was funny. I have a friend who's a diehard. I mean, people think I'm a diehard Apple fan. He's a diehard Apple guy. But I talked about it so much. Yeah, I remember when I first got the Pixel, he would be like, "Man, you got a Pixel," and I was like, "Yeah, I got a Pixel," and he was like, "Why would you do that?" And so then, I went out and I got the iPhone. I mean, he went out and he got a Pixel 2 XL about a month and a half ago, and it's been crazy because every day we're talking on one of these phones. It's either he's texting me on here or he's texting me on here, but we're talking about it, and he's come to really like some things about Android. He's still, iPhone is his main thing, but there are some things that he likes. So I have to say, from an iPhone standpoint, or people calling me a fanboy, man, some of the things that I think one of the coolest features on here is like when you're in your car. One of the things I hate about the 10, if I'm in the car and I have my phone sitting up on my dashboard and a notification comes in, I gotta try to angle my face to try to. Give me one second. I'm making a YouTube video. Can you give me like 5 minutes? Sorry about that. I had a call come in. That was my wife. But yeah, so if the phone is up and a notification comes in, I gotta try to, at times angle my face so that the phone sees my face and then I can see what the message is. This has Smart Sync, which, once you have it paired, you can go into the settings and I can choose, like, it knows that when it's connected to my car, I can choose to turn the lock off. So if something comes in, I can just kind of tap the phone and swipe up, and boom, I can see what I need to see. Another cool feature is, like, if I'm in the car and I'm using Google Maps. I'm trying to pull it up. Give me 1 second. But if I'm using like Google Maps and let's just say I want to go to like So if I'm in my
Head
car,
northeast on Stovall Court toward Sherwick Drive, then turn right onto Sherwick Drive.
I think it's so cool
Take the next
that
right onto Sherwick
you
Drive.
can minimize it and I can still go about and do what I got to do. I can move this around wherever I want. If I want to see a bigger view, I can just kind of tap on it. If I want to go back into it, I can tap on it and I go into it. But if I want to go back out, boom, I can go out, do what I got to do, and um, I think that's a really cool feature. Um, because I use Waze sometimes, and Waze has like Spotify integrated into it if you have a Spotify account. But if I want to use Google Maps, then I still can go in and I can pull up Apple Music or Spotify or Google Play Music, and I could listen to what I got to do. Um, I just I thought that was something really cool. Now it does it with YouTube, but you have to have like a YouTube Red subscription. And I think I saw it with Google Play Music, but things like that, man, it's like I feel like now a lot of phones, when it comes to Apple, like hardware is so many people are doing like the 10. It's a great phone, but I feel like where sometimes Android is it's just how they implement the software. I think that the iPhone does a great job. It's good at what it does, but my eyes have been open, so I like Android, and I can say I use both. Still I'm still an iPhone guy. Again, I mean my ecosystem is Apple, um, and my base is Apple, and it's really hard to once you are in that like iMessage ecosystem. For me, I tried it for a month and it was cool, but you run into like I took a video of something going on at work one day, and that video had to be like maybe 30 seconds, and everybody that was at work, iPhone users, I tried to send them the video, and they was like, "Why don't you AirDrop it?" And I couldn't AirDrop it, and then I sent them the Google link where they could download it. It's just one of those things where when you switch over to Android, people don't want to download WhatsApp, and people don't want to download Telegram, and a lot of people don't want to. I know I was one of them. So, and I know a lot of people can't do two phones, but I'm glad that I get to see and experience the Android side of things and the iPhone. And it would be nice for a lot of people, especially let's say for a strictly Android user to go over and really see the iPhone side. I think that both systems have an advantage over the other. Notifications on Android, man, I wish the iPhone had the same thing, the way that it's done. I wake up in the morning on my iPhone and I have 1,000 of these uh, notifications, and it would just be nice if things were unified. Anyway, I don't want to make this video quick. I want to say that at the end of the day, I chose the Google Pixel 2 XL over the Galaxy Note 8, mainly because I like the camera a lot better on here. I'm with the iPhone 10 mainly because, again, the majority of my base are iPhone users, so iMessage. And now with the Google Photos extension, it makes it better. When I'm out, the minute I want to take a picture, I pull out this phone, this quick feature, boom, boom, double tap that twice, I'm into my camera. If I want to take a selfie, boom, I shake it. Man, that's sweet. So, if you're in the market for a phone and you're an Android user, hey, check out the Google Pixel 2 XL. The iPhone 10 is cool. If you on the iPhone and you have a 7 Plus and you like, should I get the 10? I would probably wait. Um, I know the 8 Plus came out, the red one. I'm kind of like, man, should I trade this one in and get the red one? Um, so I'm interested to see the Google Pixel 3, and I'm really interested in. I'll tell you what too. In going to this phone, as much as I like the size of this phone, when I use this phone, like even when I'm at home and I'm on Reddit or I'm reading something, I tend to gravitate to this phone a lot more. um, so I'm really interested in the iPhone 10 Plus or 11 Plus, whatever the next iPhone 10 or X will be. I'm really interested in the plus size, and now there's rumors that they may have one that will be able to use the Apple Pencil. So I just wanted to make a quick video. Apologize to Android users because I've been that person before where I'm like, man, you use Android in my head. You know, I never really said it. I was that person that when we in the text group and we see that green, you're like, ugh. But I've come to really like both OSs, and I think they both have their disadvantages and advantages. So tell me or leave me a message. What phone do you use? What operating system do you use? And why do you prefer it over the other? All right. Until the next time.